Jamie's old game console had been gathering dust for months, a relic from a time before homework and family arguments had taken over his evenings. It had stopped working after a thunderstorm, the screen flickering and dying with a final, pitiful beep. Still, on a rainy Saturday when the world outside felt gray and endless, Jamie found himself plugging it in one more time, more out of habit than hope. To his surprise, the console whirred to life, the power light blinking a sickly green. The menu was gone, replaced by a single, unfamiliar game, Neighborhood. The title screen glitched and stuttered, the letters flickering as if struggling to hold their shape. Curious, Jamie pressed start, and the game loaded a pixelated map that looked eerily like his own street, right down to the cracked pavement, the old oak tree in front of his house, and the faded red bicycle leaning against the fence. The in-game character even wore the same blue hoodie Jamie had on. As he explored, Jamie realized the game was more than just a copy of his neighborhood. It was a living, breathing version, complete with digital versions of his neighbors, his friends, and even his dog, Max. The details were uncanny, right down to the way Mrs. Patel watered her garden every morning and the way the postman whistled as he walked. But as Jamie played, he noticed things that didn't belong, strange shadows moving in the windows, doors that opened and closed on their own, and messages that flashed across the screen. Don't go outside after dark. The game's world shifted with each playthrough, sometimes showing events that hadn't happened yet, a broken window at the corner shop, a lost cat poster on the lamppost, a police car parked outside his friend Sam's house. The more Jamie played, the more the line between the game and reality began to blur, the console's hum filling his room with a low, uneasy vibration. As days passed, Jamie became obsessed with the game, unable to resist the urge to see what would happen next. Each time he turned on the console, the game world had changed, reflecting new details from his real life. Arguments overheard through thin walls, secrets whispered in the dark, and, most disturbingly, accidents and incidents that hadn't yet occurred. One evening, the game showed a fire breaking out in the neighbor's shed, and the next day, Jamie watched in horror as smoke rose from the same spot in real life. He tried to warn his parents, but they dismissed his fears as coincidence, telling him to spend less time with those silly games. But Jamie knew better. The game began to show him things he didn't want to see. His best friend Sam crying alone in the park, his own family arguing in the kitchen, and, finally, a shadowy figure standing at his bedroom window, watching him play. The messages grew more urgent. You can't change what's coming. Jamie tried to stop playing, but the console would turn itself on at midnight, the screen flickering to life and the game loading without his touch. The final straw came when the game showed Jamie himself, sitting at his desk, playing the console, while the shadowy figure crept closer behind him. Heart pounding, Jamie spun around, but his room was empty, except for the faint, cold breeze that made the hairs on his neck stand up. He unplugged the console and hid it in the back of his wardrobe, but at night, he could still hear the faint, electronic chime of the game's menu calling to him. Jamie realized that some games aren't meant to be played, and some stories are better left unwritten. From then on, he avoided the console, but he never forgot the feeling of being watched, or the way the game had known his world so well. And sometimes, when the house was quiet and the rain tapped against the window, Jamie wondered if the game was still running somewhere, waiting for someone else to press start.